nation stands on the brink. Every day brings new federal encroachments that take our freedoms and strangle our will. There comes a time when the silliness must take a back seat to the serious issues of the day. The time is now. It's time to fight back and reclaim the freedom that is rightfully ours. It is time to discuss the serious issues of the day with Stoner Jesus' Pothead Punditry.
Yes, Pothead Punditry, episode 20. Welcome everybody who's listening live at gashouseradio.com and on stonerjesus.net. Come on over to the chat at gashouseradio.com. Just click listen now. We are in the Stoner Jesus Show live, podcast number 101. For those of you listening later on podcast on stonerjesus.net or on iTunes or listening to the Pothead Punditry segment on YouTube, share this information. It's where we talk about important stuff, political stuff. What we talk about tonight is Ron Paul. For those of you who are maybe new to the show or new to the podcast, we support Ron Paul for president in 2012. We also support marijuana legalization, among many other freedom-enhancing measures. This first story is from Infowars.com. The title is Ron Paul has won. Young people engage with liberty, limited government, sound money, and anti-war principles. When Congressman Ron Paul embarked on a third presidential campaign, he did so with one overriding aim: to engage the next generation of Americans and provide them with a platform to restore the principles of the Constitution. The facts show that he has overwhelmingly succeeded. Tuesday's primary in New Hampshire saw the congressman net almost half of all votes from people between the ages of 18 and 29 years old. Paul received 47% of young voter support, data collated by the Center for Information and Research on Civic Learning and Engagement. They have a little table here where Paul got 47% of the vote from 18 to 29, Romney 25%, Santorum 8%, Huntsman 14%, Gingrich 3%, Perry 0%. Dr. Paul's 47% support from the 18 to 29-year-olds was the strongest level of support for any candidate by any age group, said Circle Director Peter Levine in a press release. Ron Paul stormed the primary among young voters by a margin of 22 percentage points, more than doubling his youth votes since the 2008 New Hampshire primary. In comparison, Mitt Romney drew around the same number of young voters as he did 4 years ago, roughly 25%. This highlights how Ron Paul's policies and principles have resonated with the future of the nation. The number of young voters who turned out for Paul in New Hampshire was close to 14,000. By comparison, the number of young voters who voted for Barack Obama in the 2008 primary was around 26,000. Even the most hardened critics were forced to admit that those figures alone are impressive. Data on younger voter participation among Democrats in Tuesday's primary wasn't available, but Paul's numbers will surely be even closer to Obama's when disillusioned Democrats are factored in. The results in New Hampshire dovetail with those out of Iowa, where Paul earned the support of 48% of the 18,000 Iowans under the age of 30 who participated in the GOP caucuses. Rick Santorum came in second with 23%, while Romney gathered just 13% support. Point is, a lot of these people are going to grow up to be the leaders of this country. Many young people, because the old corrupt leaders, they have to die sometime. Preferably sooner than later, but they will eventually die, and they will be replaced by younger voters and younger leaders who the polls show overwhelmingly support marijuana legalization, and they overwhelmingly support Ron Paul. This next story is about a nationwide poll where Ron Paul surges into second place nationwide. Go check in the chat room real quick. Brain Office, 420 Watch, BC Big Rigger, Big A 420, Cannabis Chris, Hung Low, Puff Puff, and Stoner Satan are in the chat room. As I said, this story, nationwide poll, Ron Paul surges in the second. Following his effective tide win in Iowa, GOP candidate Ron Paul has seen a surge in popularity nationally, according to an influential poll released this week. Paul is now tied for second place nationally among Republicans and independents, according to the Reuters IPSOS poll. The Texas congressman now stands at 17%, according to the poll, tied with Newt Gingrich. The notable trend, however, is that while Paul has jumped a full 5 percentage points since December, Gingrich has plummeted by 8 points. Among Republican voters alone, Paul has jumped by 4 points nationally and now stands at 16%. Gingrich again slipped by 8 points among Republicans alone, leaving him at 20%. Mitt Romney still holds a considerable lead with 29% among Republicans and independents and 30% among Republicans alone. The poll was conducted before Ron Paul's strong second-place showing in New Hampshire. It now appears that Gingrich finished fifth in the New Hampshire primaries, behind Rick Santorum with around 9%. Given these statistics, Paul is likely to surge further nationally, and Gingrich is likely to slip even further. Another notable finding from the poll is that Paul is second only to Romney when it comes to a head-to-head matchup with Obama. Obama bests Romney by 5 percentage points, 48 to 43. Paul falls short of Obama by 7 percentage points, 48 to 41. In comparison, Santorum loses by 11, and Gingrich loses by 15. When factoring Democratic voters who are disillusioned with Obama, Paul's numbers will undoubtedly increase once more. And there's a lot. There's a lot of Democrats out there who are pissed at Obama, the way he's reacted to medical marijuana out in California, especially, and the crackdowns to come, probably in Colorado, among other states. It's tough. It's tough for medical marijuana in this country. A lot of things are tough in this country. And goody, we have more wars coming. Because you can never have too many wars, apparently. And the next huge one seems to be coming from Iran. This story is from Infowars.com. 3 U.S. warships to patrol the waters near the Strait of Hormuz. A total of 3 U.S. warships will patrol the waters surrounding the Strait of Hormuz, which is the gateway to the Persian Gulf. Following confirmation, a 3rd aircraft carrier strike group is being sent to the Arabian Sea as tensions with Iran rise. Another carrier strike group, led by the aircraft carrier USS Abraham Lincoln, concluded a port visit to Thailand on Tuesday and was now in the Indian Ocean. It is on track to join the Venison in the Central Command area of operations, which begins in the neighboring Arabian Sea, reports Reuters. The USS Lincoln and the USS Vinson will join the USS John C. Stennis strike group, which is already in the region. Pentagon officials state the Stennis is scheduled to return to its home port in San Diego, but refused to clarify exactly when this would occur. The Pentagon's denial that the movement of the warships has anything to do with Iran's recent threat to close the Strait of Hormuz, an act that would prompt global economic chaos and provide a pretext for war, holds little credence. Iran is set to conduct a massive new naval drill over the next 2 weeks that will coincide with a major U.S.-Israeli war game exercise in the same region, increasing the chances that a war provocation manufactured by either side could take place. The announcement followed an escalation in rhetoric after the United States sent the massive battleship USS John C. Stennis sailing through the narrow Strait of Hormuz amidst Iranian war games based around the closing of the strait, a key oil choke point. Iran responded by firing off missiles during the drill and ordering the U.S. aircraft carrier to stay out of the Persian Gulf. Crazy shit going on in the Middle East. Iran says that, we say that Iran is making nuclear weapons, although we have no proof of that. They say if you impose sanctions on us, we're going to close the Strait of Hormuz, which something like 40% of oil daily goes through that. Some people estimate that if that happens, gas, at least in this country, will go up to about $9 a gallon, where it's a little over $3 now, at least in our area. It's between 3 and 4 in most places. And it's just, there's more war coming. The perpetual war machine is, as indicated by the word perpetual, always in motion. There's no let up. They're going to attack who they need to attack to keep it going. Neil is finally in the chat room. He figured out the Java. But basically they want to raise your kids to go kill brown people somewhere overseas. You know, I mean, is that in Israel? Of course, they hate Iran, and they have admitted that they are currently in a covert war and assassinating people in Iran. And Iran says, well, if you impose sanctions on us and go to war with us, we're going to close the strait. And the United States says, well, we will keep the strait open no matter what. And, of course, that would they would probably start World War III, as Cannabis Christus said in the Gas House Radio chat room. Because China is going to respond, come to the defense of Iran. I don't know. It seems like it's never going to end. But it has to at some point. And, whether it's with the Ron Paul presidency or whether it's with something else, who knows? The debt right now is nearing the $15,194 billion ceiling. Obama says that he's going to need about another $1 trillion to keep this thing fucking kosher. President Obama formally notified Congress on Thursday, this story is from the WashingtonPost.com, of his intent to raise the nation's debt ceiling by $1.2 trillion, 2 weeks after he had postponed the request to give lawmakers more time to consider the action. Congress will have had 15 days to say no before the nation's debt ceiling automatically is raised from $15.2 trillion to $16.4 trillion. In a letter to House Speaker John A. Boehner, Obama wrote that further borrowing is required to meet existing commitments. Obama had sought to make the request at the end of last month when the Treasury came within $100 billion of its borrowing limit. However, with Congress on recess, lawmakers from both parties asked the president to hold off. The House is out of session until January 17th and the Senate until January 23rd. First of all, why are they out of session? What the fuck is so goddamn important for them to do? They go home and lie to their constituents about what they're doing. Since then, Treasury officials have used special revenue and accounting measures to maintain the nation's solvency. Continue to be fucked on every front by the fucking puppets in government. We'll do one more story in Pothead Punditry, episode 20. This is from thehill.com. Justice Department memo argues Obama recess appointments were legal. The Department of Justice offered a defense Thursday for President Obama's controversial decision to make several recess appointments while Congress was holding pro forma sessions. In a memo, Justice argued the pro forma sessions held every third day in the Senate do not constitute a functioning body that can render advice and consent on the president's nominees. It said the president acted consistently under the law by making the appointments, which we should point out many people consider unconstitutional, but that's what Obama does. It's what it was started a long time ago. You can go back to Franklin Delano Roosevelt, and before that, of course, things kicked into high gear after 9/11 with the Patriot Act under George W. Bush, and they're all for using whatever power necessary. And you can find a lot of videos online of Obama joking with, with crowds about when to bypass Congress, and if he didn't have to deal with Congress, everything would be so much easier. He didn't have to worry about all these headaches. If he just had enough power to do whatever he wanted, things would be okay. I don't know. Said Neil's in the chat room with IB Blazin has also joined the chat room. Welcome to the Stoner Jesus Show. Welcome to Potted Punditry, episode 20, which you just heard. So we do our political segment. We talk about important issues. And those are the important issues that are going on right now. There's a lot more, and a lot of good news sites out there. The DrudgeReport.com is really one of the best, one of the most visited news sites in the world. It has a lot of links to stories that you need to know about, and information you need to know about. But go on YouTube. The link is at stonerjesus.net to our YouTube page, and share the Pothead Punditry segments. Spread the information. 2012 is an important year. Tyranny is everywhere. In this country, around the world. And it's closing in on us. And that's the point of what they want to do. They want to choke off freedom and basically make us slaves until they decide what to do with us. Continue to steal our fucking money and squander it, or whatever they do with it. I guess they hoard it for a rainy day.